Well, hello, my fabulous friends. I hope you're doing well. Well, I'm continuing on with the previous life readings. And today, right now, I'm going to do Queen Camilla. And some of you might not be interested in her, but let me tell you, let's see if there's a connection with a past life connection with King Charles. Let's see if their lives intertwined and what her sole purpose is and if they were actually always at the end of the day meant to be together. So I'm going to go do my past life reading. This is a great reading. All I'm going to show you today is I'm going to do a touchstone on a few just important little things. And if you wanted your own reading, I do a much, much deeper dive. So without further ado, I'm going to start like I want to this Christmas season with our winter forest frequency friends. This is nice, positive, uplifting messages to remind you to take a breath, relax. And it's just sometimes can be a really hard, difficult season for people. So let's try and put some positive out into the world. Cards are ready. Oh, geez. Higher truth. Rise above fear and drama. When you view your situation from a higher perspective, you'll see the truth without a doubt. And this is the snowy owl spirit. Isn't that true? Sometimes we get so wrapped up about something, and at the end of the day, will it matter in a year? Will it matter in 5 years? Take a chill pill, have a good look, and reevaluate if you're getting upset about something. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do for Camilla is we are going to discover if she was a male or female in her previous life. So just remind you, this is her past life. This is the previous life to this one. I can go further in your personal readings if you choose, but for these readings, I'm just doing their previous life. All right, so first thing we're going to discover, was Camilla a man or a woman? And this will be really interesting because I just finished King Charles reading. So was Camilla a man or a woman in her previous life to this one? What is it? And she was a woman, Queen of Swords. She was a divorced woman, and isn't that interesting? She's a divorced woman in this lifetime as well. Very interesting. And in case you didn't see, yes, King Charles was a male in his previous life. So let's see where this takes us. So I got to put these back. I have these all shuffled into majors, minors, suits, and court cards, in case you're wondering if this is your first past life reading that you're watching me watch. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to discover Camilla's parents. What were they like? What were their personalities like? Were they with her through her whole childhood? So we're talking about the 1800s here, maybe even late 1700s, early 1800s. A lot of parents didn't make it. Moms didn't make it through childbirth. Dads were killed on the job or just died of disease. So let's find out. Did Camilla, what was her dad's personality like? And the reason we go into parents is because your childhood shapes your personality a lot. Different aspects of your childhood. So again, I'm just touching on the basics here. What was her father like? Oh, King of Candles. She had actually a really fun father. Possibly an entrepreneur. He was a good husband, a fun person. Maybe wasn't around a lot because they were out working. He's kind of a man's man. And, back then, men basically did what they wanted. But he was definitely there. He's upright. If they show up in reverse, that means that they were absent. I'm just going to scooch this up a bit. Okay, so we have her dad was there, and he looks like he was a fun kind of guy. So let's see her mother. What was the general energy around her mother? What was her general energy around her mother? And as we're talking about her previous lifetime to this lifetime, what was the general energy around her mother? Oh, Queen of Canes, so Queen of Swords in reverse. So her mother left her while she was a child up to age 18. So now we're going to ask the swords, did her mother leave by death or divorce or just left? That happened a lot back, more than you realize. Just one day, because a lot of divorces weren't granted, one day the person just up and left. Because you couldn't get divorced, but you just maybe couldn't take your husband anymore, or whatever, for whatever reasons. But let's just see, did Camilla's mother in that lifetime, did she leave by death or divorce? Oh, death. Three of swords, three of canes. Could have had a major heart attack. Could have had some kind of surgery. Yes, they did do surgery back then. It was brutal, but they did it. For example, the barbers did dental surgery, and a lot of times they either died by bleeding to death or infection. But yeah, so her mother left by death. So let's find out what was the emotional situation in the home that Camilla grew up with in her previous life, and we'll find out also, did the death happen early in the childhood or later in the childhood? So let's discover what was the emotional environment in her life. Oh, fours. Yeah, it wasn't a very happy one at all. And Camilla's mom would have passed away probably when she was about 7 years old, 6 or 7 years old. But it looks like once after Camilla's mother passed away, that she was mostly ignored. Dad was just way too busy, which would have been the case back then. Like we keep forgetting, if dad had to work, there was no safety net, right? She possibly felt like she was ignored, neglected, forgotten about. And it almost feels like, maybe the first third of her childhood was happy, and after that, it really wasn't. Let's see, what was the financial aspects like? What was the financial environment in and around her home as a child? What was the financial aspects like? 10 of gifts. Well, you know what? There was intergenerational money there. She was wealthy. They were wealthy. So they were wealthy, but not in spirit and emotion, which is really, really kind of sad. So it looks like, because this would be the 10 of Pentacles. So it looks like, and then you can just imagine here as her father without a partner, it looks like the other family members really stepped in and helped out quite a bit with the children. And they certainly were financially abundant, definitely financially abundant, just missing the mom. All right, well, let's find out Camilla's personality development over the years and see if there's anything in those that can give us some clues about how she is today. So now let's talk about what was Camilla like in her previous life as a child, age 0 to 18. What was the general energy, her personality, general when age 18 to 19? What was 18 to 19, 0 to 18? Page of Canes. She was very bright, extremely bright, maybe a little bit intellectual, liked to write, liked to read, anything to do with words, probably debated a lot. And I find that very interesting because in this life, to me, she seems very quiet. You barely hear her speak or talk. Yet as a child previously, looks like she was quite talkative, enjoyed talking with people, possibly singing. possibly enjoyed singing. With the page of canes, which is page of swords, and that's words, right? Words. So let's see, what was she like between 18 and 35 as a young woman? And we'll see, did she get married young? If she enjoyed writing, did she try to become a writer? Did she, let's see, what happened? Knight of Candles. She might have traveled a lot. This is not a card that would be indicative of settling down, but that doesn't mean she didn't. It means that she was very active. She enjoyed, I said, traveling. She might have done a lot of socializing, a lot of partying. Let's see, what was she like at 35 as a mature adult once she matured, and then we can get an overall feel for her personality type that she was, and then we'll look into her partnerships and see what happened there. Ooh, Queen of Canes. So yeah, she may have been divorced or widowed or chosen to be by herself. She may have gone to school to become a lawyer. Well, I don't know if she would have been allowed to be a lawyer, but she may have had some schooling to be a secretary, or like helping with any kind of legal form. She could have been a writer. She could have been a magazine. If you go back and look in the 1800s, there was a lot of ladies writing books and writing magazines back then. So she could have gone on to something like that. But let's see if she had a partner. All this traveling, and maybe she came back and wrote about her travels or something. But she seemed like she was very intellectual and really not that interested in love. And that could have been because she grew up without one parent. And so she didn't see what a natural, loving house was like. But I'm getting here with this emotional part here that I wonder if she was more interested in working than in connecting with somebody. So let's see now. We're going to ask what the personality and type of her partner way back when. So she was female. Her partner legally, publicly would have had to been male. And so that's what we're going to look for. We're not looking to see if publicly she was married to male, but secretly she had another relationship. We're not going to look into that at all. Now, if you're doing your own private reading and you want me to, then I would, but we're not going to do that today. All right. Okay, so let's see. Camilla's partner in her last life. Knight of Gifts. Yeah, so I think in some respects she was the stronger female. This knight would have been either below her in status. So, especially if she came from a very wealthy family, a legacy family, a wealthy family, this one might have been, one step down. And don't get mad at me, because that's the way class was very important back then, who you married, and as long as they were in your same socioeconomic bandwidth, right? So it looks like she married somebody who was a bit of a homebody, enjoyed reading as well, possibly could also have been a little bit intellectual as her. Even though she was the Queen of Swords, she might have felt superior to him in some respects. And you think about the bridge that is in her life now. She is now the one, her spouse now is the superior one. So now she knows what it feels like to have, to be the, I don't want to say lesser, because I don't think that's a correct word. But you know what I mean, that, in public, it's the king and the queen, and she's the queen consort and he's the king. And yet in her previous life, she was the queen and she was married to the knight. She was the stronger one. She was the one who was from the stronger family, from the wealthier family. He is the Knight of Pentacles, so he would have had his own money as well, but not as much money as hers. So that might be why it wasn't that strong of a marriage. It was more of I'm not getting like a big love, kapow, two of cups kind of love kind of here. It almost feels like, well, I suppose I need to get married and this guy's available. And you know what, Mr. Good Enough. Here we have Mr. Good Enough coming along. Let's get married. And I almost feel like that's what she did with her first marriage in this lifetime. I never felt like there was this deep, amazing love story with her and her first husband. So, you know, there's a bit of a bridge there of what was going on with that. All right, let's see with her relationship. Did they have an emotional attachment? What was the emotional attachment between her and her partner, between her and her spouse, between her and her spouse? I don't think she minded that he was a homebody or liked to be at home, liked to keep things kind of quiet. I don't think she minded that at all. But let's see, what was the emotional aspect of her life? Oh, Four of Good Cheer, same card. You saw me mix them. Yeah, she kind of regretted their wedding, their marriage, or she kind of regretted their marriage. I think she threw herself into her work, which would have been somewhat a little bit unconventional back then. But it was kind of like her survival mechanism. And I think that's when she ended up there with the Queen of Swords. I think she just, I wouldn't be surprised if they did have somewhat of an open marriage in that regards. Let's see how they were doing financially. How are they what was the financial environment of her partnership? I'm not getting that they had children. What was the financial aspect of their relationship? Six of Gifts. You know what? They had enough. They had enough. I think between the two of them, they definitely had enough. They were giving to their, to their community, did some volunteer work, were very generous, very generous. And I'm just thinking that, they had enough. They had more than enough, and that they could easily pass some of that around and pass it around and support their favorite charities. All right. So let's get to what was her occupation then. If she was a working woman in that respect, what was her occupation? What was her occupation? And back then, women could work until they were married. It was actually quite, it was like ladies who lunch once you got married kind of thing. Or you were the housewife and looked after the children if you weren't in that socioeconomic bracket that I have a feeling that they were in, that she was in. All right. Isn't that interesting? I just thought of something that she wasn't happy in her first marriage, but she stuck it out. And in this lifetime, she wasn't happy in her first marriage, but she did something about it. So maybe that was her lesson, not to stay married or with a partner that you're not over the moon about. Go out and find your Two of Cups, guys. So let's see. What was her occupation? Oh, the Lovers. Oh my goodness. Wasn't that Charles? And of course it's reversed, so she didn't do well at it. Separation, divorce, infidelity, breakdown in a relationship, sticking with a partner out of duty or obligation, forsaking happiness, unhappily married, disillusionment, not choosing the right partner, not meant for each other, making the wrong decision, lack of sex life, lack of communication. I know that sounds weird for occupation, but part of maybe her occupation was to be a wife and a mother. And it sounds like she failed miserably at it because she just wasn't vested in that. All the cards showed that. So I wonder, let's see, what was her sole purpose? So her occupation was to be a wife and mother, and she failed miserably at it. I think she actually ended up working, which would have been scandalous back then, especially if you had the money. Especially if you had the money that you didn't need to work and you decided to be a writer or something. I'm thinking like an Agatha Christie kind of person, right? I don't think Agatha was very happy in her relationship, and she would go away for months on end all by herself to write. And actually, that's very Queen of Swords, a writer that leaves the relationship behind. Maybe she was Agatha Christie. Hey, maybe we stumbled on something. I don't know. Okay, so let's see. What was her sole purpose in that lifetime? Why do I keep getting... What the heck did I do? I'm talking... What was her sole purpose in that lifetime? So if it's upright, she completed it. If it's in reverse, she didn't, and therefore she's living it. So she obviously didn't learn her lesson. Well, the Lover's card was in reverse. So she obviously didn't learn her lesson. If you're in an unhappy marriage, leave. And this time she did it. So she had to redo that lesson. Live in an unhappy marriage or a loveless marriage or a sexless marriage and find the nerve to leave. So let's see, what was her sole purpose though in that lifetime? What was her sole purpose? The child. Wasn't that, but she completed it. Let's see. Again, they're a little bit different than the regular tarot, so I have to look at the cheat sheet. To learn how to be more spontaneous, to take a chance on life, to be more eccentric and not so conventional. And what did I just say? Wouldn't have been very conventional if for a woman to work. So that's why she completed it. It's upright, so it meant she came there to this was her sole purpose, and she managed to nail it because it's upright. To learn to have more fun and play, not to be so serious, not to be so naive, too innocent, to stop acting like a child all the time, to take responsibility for your life and your actions, to travel and explore. To travel and explore. And didn't she have the travel and explore grow like that? I can't remember now. I've done so many now, I can't remember. But I wonder if she traveled. Oh, she did have the travel and explore. And I did say travel and explore. And then maybe she wrote about her travels. But anyway, so she certainly fulfilled her sole purpose. She fulfilled her sole purpose. So let's see. It's interesting. She fulfilled her sole purpose, but she didn't fulfill her occupation, what she was meant there to do. And so she had to redo it. And as far as I know, I think she has been a wife and a mother. Has Camilla ever worked? Nothing wrong with that at all. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying she didn't fulfill that because she was a working wife in her previous life. So this life, she wasn't a working wife. So that would be balancing out that karma. There's another bridge. Maybe she learned her lesson. All right. So let's see. What's her sole purpose this lifetime? And let's see if there's a connection. What's her sole purpose this lifetime? Oh, the Magus, and it's in reverse. To use your intelligence wisely, to empower yourself through education, to learn, to teach, to travel and explore. to use the wonderful natural gifts you've been given for the benefit of all, to understand the nature of power and how to use it positively and for the good of all. Wow. To create inventions to help the world, to be the one to discover a cure, to harness the power of others for the good of mankind. And you know what? This card is absolutely right. She hasn't done any of that. I think what's happened to Camilla is that after the divorce and I think for those 20 years after Diana died, she shrunk to quiet the gossipers and naysayers. I think she went into a shell, which a lot of Cancerians do. I think she went quiet, and therefore she did not develop these natural powers. I mean, to learn and to teach, to travel and explore. Well, yeah, she goes places with Charles, but they do, like, he went to Romania by himself. She seems to be quite a homebody that way. To use your intelligence wisely, like, I'm not saying she's stupid in any way, shape, or form, but, does she start any kind of anything, like take initiative? That's what I'm looking at. I think she's went into this 20-year shell shock after everything that went on, all the revelations about the affairs and everything, and she went into herself, and that's why she has not completed her soul purpose this time. She's just starting, and a lot of us picked up on that. She wasn't comfortable being queen. You could tell at the coronation and she looked very stiff and very, the tension on her face. And just recently, you can tell she's softening into the role, like the state banquet. You could tell she's softening into the role, into the past few little outings that they've gone into. She seems to be a little bit more relaxed. So she still has time to turn this around. She still has time to turn this around, to use the wonderful natural gifts you've been given for the benefit of all. So maybe you'll see her step up and do a little bit more patronages, or actually going out and teaching people. I think it's too late to create an invention to help the world, but you never know. I mean, I don't want to judge anybody or put anything like that on anything, but to harness the power of others for the good of mankind. Well, she's in the position to do that. She's in the position to completely turn that around. So I didn't see any connections with Charles. I was looking for that. So, but that might be in like 2-3 lifetimes ago. But in the previous lifetime, no, I didn't see a connection with him. But I did see a connection on some of her relationship and her work and her occupation, and a little bit of things like that. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you want your own deep dive into your previous life to see how it connects with this lifetime, link is down below. Thank you so much for your time. I know you have many other tarot card readers to watch, and I appreciate it more than you know that you have chosen to spend your time with me. Take good care. Bye for now.